I always thought funerals were supposed to bring families closer. Mine did the opposite. My name is Jessa Monroe, and the woman we buried that morning was the only person who ever loved me without wanting something in return. Grandma Ruth raised me when my parents were too busy chasing money and status. She taught me how to bake, how to stand up for myself, and how to spot a liar from a mile away. So when they lowered her casket into the cold, fog-covered ground, it felt like the world was swallowing my last safe place. That's when someone grabbed my wrist. "Don't look at them," a man whispered. It was Caleb Wright, Grandma's attorney for over 30 years. His face was pale and his grip was shaking. "She didn't die of a heart attack," he murmured. "If you want to stay alive, meet me at the Eastwood Archives in 1 hour." Alone, before I could even ask what he meant, he let go and vanished into the line of mourners. I slowly turned my head. My mother, Laura, was pressing a silk tissue to her eyes, but I saw no tears. My stepfather, Greg, was already scrolling through his phone, barely pretending to mourn. For the first time in my life, I didn't see my parents. I saw strangers. I stayed in my car long after everyone else left. Grandma was 79, but she was strong. She walked every morning. She cooked for herself. She laughed. A sudden heart attack never made sense, and now I knew why. The Eastwood Archives was an old brick building that smelled like dust and paper. Caleb was waiting in a dim corner. "She came to me 3 weeks ago," he said. "She told me her tea tasted metallic, that she kept feeling dizzy. Then she found unfamiliar pills in your mother's bag." My stomach tightened. "She had them tested," he continued. "They weren't medicine, they were a slow-acting poison, the kind that makes death look natural." I felt sick. "But she didn't know who was doing it," he added. "She was afraid of everyone, even your family." "Why would they do that?" I whispered. Caleb hesitated. "Because she was planning to change her will." I left before he could say more. I wasn't ready to hear it. The Monroe estate loomed like a fortress when I arrived home. Inside, my mother was waiting with a glass of wine. Greg stood beside her, and sitting calmly in an armchair was Dr. Harlan, our family physician. He smiled at me. "Long day, Jessa," he said softly. "You look exhausted." Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. My mother slid a stack of documents across the table. "Just some estate paperwork. We need your signature before morning." I skimmed the pages. They weren't estate forms. They were control forms. If I signed, my money, my medical decisions, even my freedom would belong to them. "I need something from Grandma's guest house," I said, forcing a shaky smile. "I'll be right back." I didn't wait for an answer. I ran. As I crossed the yard, I heard a voice hiss from the fence. "Jessa," it was our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Collins. She looked terrified. "She gave me this," she whispered, slipping a small notebook into my hand. "Your grandmother. She said if anything happened to her, you were the only one who should see it." Behind me, I heard the back door open. Footsteps. Someone was coming. I clutched the notebook and ran for the guest house, heart pounding. Whatever Grandma left behind, my family was desperate to stop me from reading it. What was written inside that notebook would prove my grandmother was murdered. And once my parents realized I had it, they would stop at nothing to get me back. I slammed the guest house door and twisted the lock just as gravel crunched outside. "Jessa," my mother called sweetly, too sweet. "Where did you run off to, honey?" I didn't answer. My back slid down the door as I stared at the small leather notebook in my hands. I recognized it immediately. Grandma Ruth never went anywhere without it. She kept it beside her bed, right next to her glasses and crossword book. My fingers shook as I opened it. It wasn't a diary. It was a record. Dates filled the pages, written in her neat, careful handwriting. "Tea tastes bitter again. Strange dizziness after breakfast. Laura brought me new pills. I didn't ask for them. Harlan says it's stress. I don't believe him." My chest tightened. Page after page told the same story: confusion, fear, things being moved, memories slipping in ways that felt forced. Grandma hadn't been getting sick. She had been getting poisoned. Taped between 2 pages was something small and black, a micro memory card. Footsteps moved outside the guest house. "Jessa," Greg called. "We just want to help you." I knew that was a lie. I slid the memory card into my phone and pressed play. At first, there was static. Then Grandma's voice, weak but clear. I'm making this in case I don't get another chance. I covered my mouth. I think someone in my family is trying to kill me. My heart pounded as other voices entered the recording. My mother. How much longer, Harlan? The doctor answered calmly. Another week, maybe 2. The poison is building slowly. Her heart will fail naturally. And Jessa? Greg asked. My mother didn't hesitate. She's too close to her. Once Ruth is gone, we'll keep Jessa sedated. Stress, grief, it won't be hard to declare her unstable. We'll control everything. I felt like I couldn't breathe. They weren't just killing Grandma. They were planning to erase me. A hard knock hit the door. Open it, Greg said, his voice cold now. I ran to the back window and climbed out just as the door handle rattled. The yard was dark and wide, nowhere to hide, except the old stone well Grandma had always warned me about. I sprinted for it. Inside, on a small ledge, sat a waterproof case. Grandma's final backup. I grabbed it as shouting erupted behind me. There, someone yelled. A flashlight beam swept across the lawn. I ran for my car. Greg tackled me just as I reached it, but I twisted free, dove inside, and slammed the door. His fist smashed against the glass. Get out, Jessa! I reversed hard, clipping him and tearing down the driveway. Headlights appeared behind me. They were chasing me. I took back roads, my hands shaking on the wheel, terrified they'd force me off the road before I reached help. When I finally saw the lights of the state police station, I nearly sobbed. I didn't slow down until I was in their parking lot. Inside, detectives listened to the recording in stunned silence. My family had just been exposed, but they weren't in cuffs yet, and they still thought they could control me. The police wanted to arrest them immediately. But I had a plan that could destroy them forever, even if it meant walking straight back into their house. The detectives wanted to storm the house immediately. They had the recording. They had voices, dates, motive. To them, it was finished. To me, it wasn't. They'll say it's fake, I told them. They'll say Grandma was confused. They'll say I edited it. One of the officers studied me. So what are you suggesting? I go back, I said, and I make them say it. Silence. Then the lead detective nodded slowly. We'll wire you. An hour later, a transmitter was taped under my clothes. A small camera was clipped inside my jacket. One word would bring them in. Now, the gates of the Monroe estate opened like a mouth swallowing me whole. Inside, my mother rushed toward me, tears suddenly appearing like magic. Oh, thank God, she said. We were so scared. Greg stood behind her, arms crossed. Dr. Harlan sat calmly on the sofa as if nothing in the world was wrong. I panicked, I said, forcing my voice to tremble. I just miss Grandma. My mother hugged me tightly, too tightly. We understand, she whispered. Let's finish the paperwork, then everything can go back to normal. We sat at the desk. The papers waited. I didn't pick up the pen. Did she suffer? I asked softly. The air changed. My mother's smile vanished. She was old, she said. She was wasting a fortune she didn't deserve. So you poisoned her, Greg exhaled sharply. Don't be dramatic. You were going to do the same to me, I said. My mother leaned close. Her voice dropped. If you had just taken your pills like a good girl, none of this would have been necessary. That was all the police needed. Now, I said, the door exploded open. State police! Greg was slammed to the floor. Dr. Harlan dropped his bag and froze. My mother didn't fight, she just stared at me like I had betrayed her. As they dragged her away, she whispered something I didn't expect. You still don't know everything. Hours later, as the house was being searched, a detective came to me with a hard drive found hidden in the wall of my mother's study. Your grandmother's vault, he said. There are files missing. What kind of files? I asked. He hesitated. On you. They were in handcuffs. But whatever my family had been planning for me hadn't been stopped yet. The detective didn't hand me the drive right away. He sat across from me in a small evidence room, staring at the metal table like he was trying to decide how much truth I could handle. These weren't financial records, he finally said. Your mother wasn't just planning to take your inheritance. My stomach tightened. She was planning to replace you. The drive contained folders labeled with my name, not just Jessa Monroe, but versions of it. Jessa Medical Jessa Psych Jessa alternate ID inside were scanned medical files I had never seen. Psychiatric evaluations I had never taken. prescriptions for drugs I had never been given, all of them signed by Dr. Harlan. They were building a case, the detective explained. A paper trail that would make you look unstable, dangerous, legally incompetent. I scrolled through the files, hospital intake forms, sedation schedules, guardianship petitions already filled out. They had even selected a private psychiatric facility out of state. Once I was declared unfit, my identity would be sealed, and my money would become theirs. But I wasn't sick, I whispered. No, the detective said. You were in the way. One file made my blood turn to ice. Jessa Monroe, life insurance. A policy had been taken out on me. Large, recent. They weren't just going to lock you away, the detective said quietly. They were planning for what came after. I realized something horrifying. If I had signed those papers, Grandma wouldn't have been the last one buried. Later that night, I went back to the estate to collect a few of my things. Police tape hung from the doors. The house was empty, but Grandma's room wasn't. On her nightstand was her crossword book, filled in with pen. Tucked inside was a folded piece of paper. In her handwriting, I knew they would try to erase you. If you are reading this, it means you survived. The safe deposit box has what they didn't find. Attached was a key, and a bank name I didn't recognize. Whatever was inside that box wasn't just proof. It was the final move Grandma made to protect me, and it could decide whether I stayed free. The safe deposit box was in a small bank 2 counties away, one my family had never used. That was how I knew Grandma Ruth had outplayed them. The clerk slid the narrow metal box across the table and closed the door behind me. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. Inside was a thick envelope, a flash drive, and a folded letter. I opened the letter first. Jessa, if you're reading this, then they failed. That means you're stronger than they ever knew. I saw what they were building around you, the lies, the fake records, the quiet plan to erase you. I couldn't stop them openly, so I prepared something better. My eyes burned. This drive contains every real record of your life, your health, your education, your finances, and every fake one they created to destroy you. It also holds what they never realized I found, proof of where the money was really going. I plugged in the flash drive. What appeared on the screen made my breath catch. Shell companies, hidden accounts, years of transfers from the family trust into accounts controlled by my mother and Greg long before Grandma ever died. They hadn't just planned to steal my future. They had been stealing hers. Then I saw a scheduled transfer, dated for the week after my forced psychiatric commitment. Once I was declared unfit, the remaining millions would have vanished into their accounts. If I had signed those papers, I wouldn't have survived that institution. The police reopened everything within hours. This time, it wasn't just murder. It was financial exploitation, identity falsification, medical fraud, and conspiracy. The kind of charges that erase predators the way they try to erase their victims. When I visited my mother in prison weeks later, she looked smaller, older, hollow. You think you won, she muttered. I know I did, I replied. You'd be nothing without that money, I smiled. Grandma already proved you wrong. 6 months later, the Monroe estate became something new, not a mansion, a foundation. The Ruth Monroe Justice Initiative. The first person we helped was a woman named Lydia. Her own son had tried to have her declared mentally unfit so he could steal her home. When we stopped it, she hugged me and said, "Your grandmother saved me, didn't she?" I think she did. Grandma's letter is framed on my desk, because in the end, they tried to poison her. They tried to erase me. But the truth, the real truth, outlived them all. And every dark door they tried to close, she left one key behind.